Hello.
We're back.
Hey.
What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
I'm using the old laptop, the old mic stand, little handheld one, because it is going to open up on me from the heavens any minute. Like the craziest lightning and giant cumulonimbus clouds. How's my audio?
Oh, well, it has been a week with you gone.
Really?
I don't know. It's just, man, it's not the same.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that sincerely. The feeling is mutual.
This is episode 124 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by Puget Sound Pythons. Check them out, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. They do really good stuff. They're really awesome people. We love them to death. And
We
then
do.
BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out as well. You need a rack. You need a cage. They got something that works for everybody.
They do. That they do.
I love all of my black box racks and cages. All of them. All of them.
Top-notch quality craftsmanship.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, have you adjusted back to being in the Eastern time zone?
Honestly, there's no jet lag when you're only going 3 hours, but I will say this: adjusting from no sleep and like tons of stuff to normalcy, I'm still messed up, man. And I was doing the math, and I think I slept 11 hours in 7 days, like not including like air travel. And I was telling Anna Maria that one of the days that we were out there, we take naps, right? Little siesta, to recharge.
Not enough.
And I had my first ever inception dream where like I was in a dream and I was like, this isn't real. Like I don't work in a cigar store. Like this isn't real. And then like something horrible happens and I wake up and I'd be like, I still don't work in a cigar store. And like that happened like 3 or 4 times. Then finally I wake up and I'm like, oh God, I'm in an Airbnb in Arizona. Jesus.
It's the delusion.
Yeah.
From the heat and the dehydration.
Honestly, yeah, it is, So, but it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. I miss everyone. Everybody like my new Gila hat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's one of those hats where like I don't want to sweat on it because I know I'm gonna mess it up, but I kind of do want to sweat on it and like get the herper out, So, but yeah, man, it was a hell of a trip, adventure of a lifetime. Got to hang out with Nip Nip, which was amazing, and he's exactly the same. So it was good. It was good times, man. I got tons of pictures, tons of video. And for those of you who don't know, I went to Arizona and New Mexico with the NPR guys, and I put up a little summary video on my Facebook page. So if anybody wants to see that, I'm sure I could post it somewhere, send it to whoever wants to see it if they want to see it. I don't know when or if they're going to do a recap show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Eric had said something he was thinking about recording it this week. So I got to get with him and see what's what and see if they're going to do it or not. But yeah, man, it's good to be back. It's gross here. It's so humid. It's just, So
I too have a new hat.
You do. You have the hat of hats,
that.
man.
Look at that hat.
Look at that hat. The acid green.
Embroidered. So I actually looked at I'm gonna start taking pre-orders on these bad boys. So there's 2 sizes. They're the same flex fit hats that Venom Life Gear uses on their flex fits, the one size fits all. Well, I say that there's a small / medium and there's a large / extra large. So there's 2 sizes technically. These are the only hats that I like and that fit my head and don't look dumb. A lot of times these hats aren't deep enough, and so they look kind of goofy. I look like Shorty from Temple of Doom. most of the time.
No time to love, Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones. So these I like. If anyone is interested and wants to go ahead and pre-order one, I'm gonna be getting them ordered here probably in the next couple days at work, and I don't know exactly when they'd get done because I know my coworker who does all the embroidery, she stays pretty busy, but we're gonna try and figure that out. So if you are interested, please message myself or the page on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll make it happen. So we have the regular acid green ones, and then we actually have glow in the dark thread that is surprisingly bright considering it's thread.
Nice. How long does it last? Like if you hit it with a good flashlight, how long does it last?
I haven't even tested it yet. Honestly, I didn't want to wear it and sweat in it because I wear this all day, and like I've already been sweating in it, and I'm surprised.
Yeah, but you don't have to wear it to glow in the dark it, you know. Just hit it with a flashlight real quick and flip the lights off. Get it glowing.
Yeah.
Well, what are you smoking today, sir?
So this is a Warzone from Espinosa that my buddy Joe Blanco gave me. He came over the other night and hung out, and we smoked some cigars and kicked it. And you know, Espinosa is one of those brands that I don't know that I've ever had a bad one. Like they're all,
I'd agree.
Like none of them are really anything like. Well, that's not true. The Murcielago is really good, but they're all just really solid smokes. You know,
yeah,
they're all just good. Like their portfolio across the board so far, from what I've had, which is a pretty good bit of it, it's been pretty solid. Where it is a good cigar, I would buy one. I would carry them if I had a shop, just because they have good stuff. So
yeah, man, I've never been disappointed. This is my first cigar back from a trip, so I got to get back to Old Faithful, Liga Privada number 9. So
Liga sounds good right now.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's gonna be. Hey, we got people from the future here. Good evening, Miss Ty.
So I too could somehow send you guys hats. I'd have to send them to our buddy Jake Hansen for him to send to you from him there in Australia. But
I'm sure if Jake got a hat, he would have no problem sending it to them.
Yeah. Yep. So those are going to be available. Planning on getting some shirts together. I think Jake's actually planning on getting some shirts. He's going to get a small first run to see how those come out. So I don't know what really his plan with that is fully, but if you need shirts, if you have a logo that maybe is a little more complicated, we have digital printing, which helps with those more complicated logos. So hit me up. Bill Bradley got some Lizard Brain Radio shirts. He should be receiving those within the next couple days. You know, if you have any questions as far as the quality of them, feel free to hit him up once he has his and see for yourself. So
awesome.
How did Arizona compare to Texas?
So, okay.
Because it looked I saw the videos and stuff. It looked very similar.
It's very similar in terms of aesthetic terrain, but it's not at all in the least capacity. It is two different ecosystems. There are mountains bordering Mexico. There are flat plains areas. There is barren desert, but it's not the same. And maybe it's because I'm a spaghetti Western junkie and it's burned in my brain from my father as a kid, but it's the legit Wild West, man. And what's crazy is that I've done a fair bit of traveling, you know, in the United States, up and down the Eastern Seaboard, too many times to count. You know, I've been out to Nevada.
You've also
and
been
Utah.
to Arizona previously too.
Right.
You've been I've before.
And
the same area, but
yeah, I've heard Nevada, I've heard Utah, I've heard Arizona, but it's not the same because I was with guys that this is what they do. You know, this is their life is planning these trips. And I cannot speak highly enough about Dustin Grahn. Dustin Grahn is and was a quintessential piece to this trip. and I know the NPR guys are going to say the same thing, but that kid, not only does he know his stuff in terms of what to look for, when to look for it, where to look for it, like he's becoming, if not already on his way to be a master herper. And the amount of species that we saw in the short amount of time that we had, it was breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. I mean, I don't want to give too much away because in case they want to do their, NPR recap show and, keep some suspense in there. But between having fantastic weather, just a little bit of rain, just a little bit of cloud cover, and the right season, the right time of year, and Dustin, leading the way, so to speak, and being a bona fide guide, dude, it was a phenomenal trip. And Nipper's freaking taller than us, and that's annoying.
Taller than you?
Taller than me, Rob, and Burke.
I was gonna say I have a hard time believing he's taller than me, but
no, he's not tall. He's not taller than you. But we were on the car getting ready to pick. He was the last plane to land, and we're all like, "Is he gonna be tall? Is he gonna be tall? Is he gonna be short?" And
it's like a blind date. It's like
it was a blind
Dynamite
date.
When he was picking up the girl from the airport.
Exactly.
La
Fonda. And then we're pulling up to Terminal 3. And there he is standing there with 2 backpacks because he didn't check a bag. He's got 2 backpacks and he's just looking all prim and proper. And it was like, I know that guy. I know that guy standing there. Oh, crap. He's tall. It was good.
See, I had like completely forgotten that he was even going. And so like, I knew you were going to Arizona. I knew you were going with the NPR guys. I was like, that's cool. And then I saw the picture of Nipper like in the back seat. I was like, mother. Like, oh, I was so jealous, man. It's like, I want to go out that direction in the country again.
Yeah.
And B, it's like, I mean, it's Nipper, man. I was like,
it's Nipper.
Half hoping he'd come to the East Coast and I could at least find a way to meet up with him at a Chili's or something.
Well, I know he is. So this is his first time herping in North America, and he'd come to the United States a few times before, but this is his first time herping, and it was incredible to see someone as him, who is as worldly as he is as well traveled as he is, but he was still enamored with every little thing.
It's like having ET on your team, man.
He's seen a billion different species of cactus in the desert, but he's never seen the Arizona ones. And like he's like looking at look at this flower and look at that flower, and he's like, oh yeah, there's rocks and clouds, and oh, we're looking for animals too. I forgot, and that was really
that's gotta be bizarre to a degree, because it's like, yeah, man, it's cactus. But I know it'd be the exact same thing if we went over there and saw like a burris or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Where like he sees them in his yard and we're like, oh my God, Vipera, like coolest thing ever.
100%.
And he'd probably be like, dude, whatever. Like it's boring as hell. Like it'd be like, our racers or copperheads, we're like, yeah, they're cool. And then you have someone who like literally came from across the world just to see that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting because, he had mentioned how about the halfway point in the trip, he had mentioned how when he goes to a European country or a Middle Eastern country or what have you, if there's 10 species that he could possibly see, he's seen 7 or 8 of them already. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or he's seen all of them already, and he's looking for a specific phenotype or specific locality to photograph. But in this case, he hadn't seen anything. So of the 15 or 20 or however many odd species we saw, every single one was one that he's never seen before. And I thought that was super special to be able to.
And I mean, I don't want to cover everything because I know you guys are probably going to do a recap show, but the fact that you guys saw Willardy is a big deal because that's his favorite species. So I was just glad that you guys actually found a nice array of different species and stuff out there. Like he didn't go all the way out there only to, come up short and find Atrox or some other stuff. Like he would have enjoyed it regardless. I know that. But the fact that you guys found all those different species of buzztails and stuff, like that made me super happy for him because that makes the trip even more worth it for him.
Right.
And especially seeing his favorite, his favorite species. I would have lost my mind seeing all of that. So
yeah, man. And that was the thing too, is I think he did the right thing of not expecting to see anything but you know, I expect to see an Atrox, a Western Diamondback. You know, maybe you'll see, you know, a Mojave or something like that. But for us to see what we saw and to be his keynote species, like, it was awesome. And it's funny, he's gonna give me shit for this, but you know, he's British and they're very dry, and seeing the smile on his face and the look in his eye was the equivalent to an American going, yeah, yeah, oh my god, yeah. and I love that. That was awesome.
What was your favorite find of the whole trip?
I'm torn, man. I'm torn between between the obvious and I don't know, man. It was very difficult. There's so many animals and so many awesome things that we did and saw. And I mean, like, not giving away too much, but when I got the little itinerary thing that Rob Stone puts out every time, it was like, okay, well, we land here. We have a 4-hour drive to our Airbnb. Like, why did we do that?
It's Texas all over again.
And then, well, no, but it's not because, like, there's other airports. Like Texas, there was no airports. Like, we could have flown into Tucson or somewhere else. You know what I mean? And then Rob just texted me back saying, Dustin has a Serb spot. And the fact that we did
everything with Rob when it comes to these itineraries, like it's none of it coincidence. Like, it's all by design. You just got to go
all by design.
You know, you just got to ride the wave.
And the fact that he's like Dustin's got a Serb spot, and I was like, say no more. And then sure as hell, right there, just right there in the trail, just waiting to be photographed by us, was the most lavender and rich violet colored Crotalus cerberus I've ever seen. Fantastic.
What time did you all get in?
I was, I think, the earliest. I think I landed at like 9:30 in the morning, and then everyone else, I think Nipper was the last one. He landed at like 1:30 in the afternoon, something like that, or maybe 12:30.
So you guys still had time after everyone had landed to go and get at least, you know, a quick, kind of like when we went to Texas, we had that quick sort of stop to look around. So, yeah.
Well, and that was the thing, is so like we got everyone from the airport, we hit the road, and then probably about 30-40 minutes into the drive, on our way to meet up with Dustin, we had to go to In-N-Out Burger. Had to get Nipper his first In-N-Out Burger, so we did that, and that was good because we were all hot, tired, and hungry.
It's literally Encino Man. Like,
it is legit. You know, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1.5, and bing, meet group. So so then we meet up with Dustin at this like biker gas station in the middle of nowhere, and again, he's tall too. So but that was good, man. It was a blast. It was an absolute blast. So I mean, I could show the video, but I feel like that'd be a waste of 6 minutes of our show. So if anybody wants to see the video, let me know. Go to my Facebook page if you want. And yeah, I'm going to open these cigarettes real quick.
Do it. Smoking's bad for you. Yeah, I always feel bad because, like, when we did Texas, like, there was the recap episode, you know, and it's like, I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to, like, do the same show twice, basically, where it's like, we talk about it, and then they talk about the exact same thing. So, like, we'll touch on a little bit of stuff, but giving away, like, you know, there's plenty of stories and happenings and things I'm sure that you guys will get into. So we'll keep it pretty light.
Right. And that was the other thing too, is like I started taking all this B-roll footage, and then we're photographing the animals, and I said to Burke on day like 2, I was like, hey man, let me know what you don't want me to post, so that way we can like keep surprises for like a recap show or whatever. And he's like, oh, I don't care, man, show the world. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to make it, you know, build it up. And he was like, oh, all right, whatever. And then like he posts some stuff, and Doc posts some stuff, and the gloves came off, and all the cool shit's already been shown off. But still. So I mean, I have tons of pictures I haven't even gone through yet. So if we want to post them later, we can, or show them later, we can. But yeah, man, it was an adventure of a lifetime. So
Do they have any horned lizards out there? Did you see any?
we saw 2 DOR ones, and it was
bummer.
the same species as we saw in Texas.
Oh, okay.
But they've got like all the horned toads.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they've got like maybe 5 or 6 species in where we were, but it's just the terrain is just so harsh, and so it really is very, very similar to, you know, outback Australia. It's just so harsh, you know, and the roads, there's no roads anywhere.
Yeah, I noticed that on some of the videos you posted where you guys were riding on like up these, you know, these mountains and stuff, these hills, and it's like there ain't a paved road in sight. Like even from a distance, you can't even see a paved road. Like it was wild.
Yeah, and I will say this is that, you know, we know about the Sky Islands. We look them up. We love the animals, and you hear the term. Excuse me. You hear the term montane rattlesnake, right? But it doesn't. I mean, maybe I don't want to speak for everyone, but for me, I was like, oh, cool, montane rattlesnake. It's a mountainous rattlesnake. No, you don't realize the difference. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a montane rattlesnake. You keep them a little cooler. No, you don't realize that when you're at 2,500 feet above sea level and it's 102 degrees out with, you know, 8% humidity, and then you go up to 7,000-8,000 feet up, it was like 60 degrees.
Another planet.
Yeah, it literally is. It's another world. And just the rocks and the plant life, and you know, you're going up these mountains, right? And the mountains are super winding and super steep, and then you're just watching the ecosystem change as you go up, you know, and that was super cool. And Ty hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, you saw a coral, buddy.
Yeah, and not only did I see a coral,
I lived vicariously through you on that.
Not only did I see a coral, but I saw one of the rarest corals out there, the Sonoran Coral. And I think, honestly, that was probably my favorite of the thing. I mean, because the Cerberus is awesome. I've kept Cerberus before, super awesome animals. But finding a Sonoran Coral, and I didn't find it. Doc found it, but just to be there to experience it, and for anyone who saw the video or saw photos of the coral snake all balled up in a little ball, it was balled up in a ball because it kind of got away from us, and I put my foot down and I let it slither under my foot. And I guess I had just the right amount of space in the sole, like the arch of my shoe, for it to stay. And then everyone was like, okay, all right, ready? Everybody ready?
Yeah,
3, 2.
Taking pictures of that was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Like if anyone's ever come across corals, like they really don't sit still. They're like colubrids in the worst way, you know. It's
yeah, and
I was impressed.
It was incredible too. Is I just go back on the whole ecosystem thing, is that everything is so reliant on rain and moisture. And Doc found the coral, and we were photographing some other stuff, and we're standing there, and like all of us like, man, what are the odds? What are the odds that Doc's just walking around in the open desert?
He's like a magnet, man.
He really is a magnet. It's pretty amazing. He has a, you know, serpento magnetism. But then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was Nipper or Eric, but somebody's like, I just felt a raindrop. And we're like, what? And then like you'd hear the wind coming, and then you'd smell like this wet dust. And that was it. And it started to drizzle. And it's like, dude, that coral snake knew exactly what the freaking barometric pressure was. And he was like, or she was like, it's going to rain. I'm going to come out and get some frogs or something. Lizards, skinks, other snakes, whatever.
Ipsiglena.
Yeah. And dude, that was the luck of it, man. You know? So a breathtaking adventure of a lifetime. I'm glad I did it.
I just want to be in the van, listen to the conversations, you know.
Yeah, it was real tight, man. There was no van. I did not rent a van this time. We used Dr. Julander's SUV, and it was smushed, man. It was thank God he had that spare like captain's chair that folds out of the trunk, because and Burke was really the only one that kind of fit back there, and he didn't mind. I mean, I'm sure he did. He was just being nice, but but yeah, man, it was a tight squeeze, but we did it. It was fun. It was awesome. So.
And then was it before or after you left that you had an egg? You got an egg.
I came home to it. So
Smoking
I
cough,
was
cough.
No, I was drinking iced tea and I got a little, bufo in my throat. So, excuse me, Ranella. Yeah. So before the trip, like the night before, I reset all the egg boxes and I was like, they're all fat. They all look good and happy. I'm like, they're all going to drop and I'm going to get screwed and come home to petrified eggs. Right. And I came home and they were all of them were dry as a bone because it was a week, and I was like, oh crap. And I look and one of them is still fat. The other one looks like she laid. Another one looks like she laid. And I was like, man, this sucks. Like now I got to go digging. And I guess they were just fat or maybe I missed it. I don't know, but I checked everything and I got one flawless, perfect egg that is now incubating and that's it. So, I mean, I ripped everything apart. So I got it in time. It may have been late a day or so, but it wasn't dried out. It was still, gooey and plump. And yeah, we'll see what happens in a few weeks.
And that was Amy A?
No, that was Cinctus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cinctus.
Nice.
So, yeah. And everything else is good, man. I made sure I fed stuff a couple days before I left, just in case I had some regurg or whatever, and topped off water bowls. And dude, I was like, oh man, I got so many snakes to top off water bowls. I'm like, I got to do this, I got to do that. I was like, oh yeah, 8 of them don't need water, And then I walk over, I look at the Cerastes, and they're all like, water. So, but it's good, man. I didn't come home to anything dead. I didn't come home to any regurg, knock on wood. So it was good.
Always nice.
It's always nice. I didn't come home to a broken thermostat or anything, knock on wood.
That's also nice.
Yeah, right. That's actually what I was worried about. So, because I like to check wires and check, ducking tape and the metallic tape and make sure that things are still where they're supposed to be. And I forgot to do that. So you're on the big metal bird flying to your destination going, oh crap, I forgot to check the drawer tape and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, every little thing that you might have forgotten, all the small stuff that you see every day and you're like, yeah, I'll get that tomorrow, whatever. And then you don't.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I was so worried about having all my equipment, the snake hooks and GPS and survival stuff and first aid and all that crap because I knew we were going to be in the middle of nowhere. You know what I forgot? A freaking phone charger. I mean, luckily, Papa Burke has an arsenal of electronics at his disposal. God bless him. But yeah, man, I can't believe I forgot a freaking phone charger. I mean, I've got and Nipper's like, I'm surprised you don't have a solar panel. I was like, guess what? I forgot that too. So that was with the phone charger. But
Ty said there's a very interesting paper with significant ramifications for herpetoculture, and I'm asking what that is via messenger right now because I'm ready for an eye roll. Probably
nice.
some non-herper person going, they're taking everything from the wild. They're inbreeding everything.
Oh man.
Unless it's Scott using her name, which is
quite possible.
Awesome.
No, I like to think it's her. So what did I miss while I was gone, man?
Not a whole lot. Jake and I had our one-on-one last week, which was Thursday.
I caught most of it. I'm still trying to play catch up on podcasts.
It was good. Snakes and Stogies was all right. Dion's hatched.
I was just about to say the D word.
I'm waiting, so I should have some first sheds from those here within the next day or so, and then I'm gonna start offering some food.
Nice.
Hopefully get more accurate sexing on them. I was on Colubrid and Colubroid Radio yesterday, last night, so I'm really excited about that. That was fun. What do you mean? All right, Bill said. I feel like we didn't cover a whole lot. There's a lot of rambling is all. Evidence of UV regulation is more important than thermoregulation in Sciloporus. That's because they live in the rocks. It is, Scott.
Yeah, there was a lot of Sciloporus. And what's crazy is, I didn't realize this, but when you see the like rock embankments where the Sciloporus live, you think, okay, it's rocky, it's a bunch of rocks, you know. According to my cohorts on this trip, those rocks go down like 10 feet.
I believe it.
So like they're always saying like, hey, don't step on the rocks, because if you like have like 4 or 5 collapse, you really collapsed like 20, and whatever was living down there just got smushed.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I thought that was super interesting. So
Bill and Billy, it's because I didn't have any like agenda in terms of like topics.
Well, I can say that I did catch a little bit of it, and I loved seeing Billy Jenkins on there. Billy Jenkins, you're a savage, and I love you. And it's always a pleasure to have Bill on the show.
Absolutely,
it is. And I was a little bummed about Eli not having service, but
yeah,
he'll get over it.
He's in like a dead zone or something because he was in and out the entire time.
Yeah, it's called East Florida.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's Dion's all are looking good. I'm trying out some of these containers that Chris Montross recommended from Dollar Tree, which are like 96 ounce,
nice,
sort of flatter, but they have the same sort of footprint as like a 6-quart, so they're stackable. They work really well for small hatchling stuff, so that's what I'm gonna kind of roll with the corns and stuff that are coming. Just because not knowing how long I'm going to hold on to them or what I'm going to hold on to, it didn't seem like it warranted necessarily an entire new rack. So
and that clutch that I saw you post earlier, that was corns.
Yeah. So that's the next clutch that's due to hatch, and that is the Ladies Island pair, but it's a different male from last year. Same female, different male. And then following that by like a week is the Ladies Island male to the Ghost Tessera. And then there's some Baird's clutches that are still a good ways out. So
how many Baird's clutch?
2, if you even want to count, like one of them, it's only 2 eggs because the others were all bad. So
that's
those are the head hypos, but the Loma Alta clutch, that's 8 eggs and they're all pristine. So
good, the important ones.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
And then I have the blood red female who I thought had a prelay shed a couple weeks ago. She is actually in her prelay shed now. So she's gonna lay. Those probably won't be happening until like hatching, depending on what I get and what's viable. Until like mid-August, I'd imagine, if not closer to Daytona. So we'll see.
All right.
Other than that, I don't. Unless stuff starts double clutching, I think that's going to be it for the year because the Thorn Scrubs didn't go. The Bimaculata didn't go, which we talked about a little bit on Colubrid and Colubroid Radio last night. Talked a lot about the Diones, and it was meant to be a sort of more of a Baird's focus, and of course it took many turns into other rat snakes and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. I really, really, really do like talking to Matt and Zach.
Man, they're awesome.
Any operator when they're when they asked me to come on, I was like, absolutely, man. It's like I love talking to those guys.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna say? No.
Right.
No.
Right.
I don't like your educational awesomeness.
And then, well, I mean, with the last like half hour or so, Zach's power went out, so it was just me and Matt. But
okay.
It was still good. I mean, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Glad to hear it, man. I can't wait to listen to it.
I posted some pictures of the Dion's clutch on Morph Market on the forums on there because I do periodically hop on there and try and be active and engage. And there was a surprising amount of people. I mean, it wasn't a ton of replies, but there were people that are like, I've never even heard of those before.
Nice.
So I thought that was cool. I posted
cool.
a couple of pictures on Instagram. Same thing. People are like, I've never even heard of those. And it's like, they're awesome little snakes, man. They're just really cool.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Real good stuff. And Steve Poole, you're awesome and we love you. And you better be in Daytona, FYI.
So the interesting point is that if UV regulation is more important than thermoregulation, then it kind of blows the whole UV is not required out of the water. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you're almost comparing. You're comparing, UV for general motor functions to heat for digestion, right? Like, how do you compare those two?
Well, it's also one of those things where whether they want it or not, they're getting it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole. I'm not against UV at all. Do I offer it to all of my animals? No. My Jansen, I have it. My Ackies have it. When I upgrade the rhinos, I think per Matt Most's suggestions, I think I'm planning to offer it to them as well. If I end up doing sort of bigger, more elaborate setups with some of the stuff I have, then I likely will, just because it's not like it's any sort of major inconvenience or expense to add to cages. But for the corns and beards and stuff like that, and Diones and whatnot, it's like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't feel compelled to offer it to them, but
yeah. I think I'm probably, when I finish the field eye enclosure, I'm probably going to do UV. I'm probably going to do a shitload of UV, but I also want to give them a lot of nooks and crannies to get out of it in case they want to, because they really don't bury themselves like Cerastes do. They kind of find rock crevices and stuff like that to kind of get up in. But I do notice that, like, on my days off, when I can go in there at say 10 or 11 in the morning, they are basking, you know what I mean, as much as they can do in their tub. But yeah, I think I'm going to focus on that too, because I've got UV on the wrinkles, so why not?
It just I've talked about it before with chondros and stuff like that. Like David Brahms offers his UV only for a couple hours a day, and if I were gonna do UV, that's the way I would do it right now.
Yeah.
The Jansen, I have it all day, but it's one of the shade dwellers, so it's not anything like super powerful. But they also have so much cover to get away from it that I'm not worried about it. But for something like a chondro that's out in the open all the time, it'd definitely be something where I'd like 4-6 hours a day and then have it on a timer and it cut off. So
yeah, that's pretty much what I have with the wrinkles. So their UV light goes on at like 8 in the morning, but then it turns off at, I think right now, because it's summer, it turns off at 2, and then their heat lamp goes on at like 11, and that turns off also at 2. But there's still lights on in the room until 8 o'clock at night. So they still have the day cycle. There's a window and all that jazz. So I'll probably do something very similar with the field eye.
It would be interesting too to see like those in the Cerastes, how they the differences in how they take it in.
Well, so the Cerastes are in that Sean Wagner rack, right? And I basically converted that to be desert, right? And it's got major LED lights. So I set the LED lights to the appropriate Kelvin, and dude, all day long they're buried. So I kind of like they're not using the UV at all. I mean, except for like maybe the bridge of their nose, but the rest of the snake is under sand. So I kind of was like, I'm not gonna give them UV because they're not using it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So. Hey, Podfather's here.
He said Eric Podfather said he has all the UV data from the trip. He has to make a PDF of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I told Podfather that I'm going to procure him a tactical vest that has just the right amount of pockets for the UV index reader, the ambient temperature reader, the temp gun, his little notebook, his little moleskin notebook. So I'm definitely getting him that. Because that was the whole thing. I was like, hey, Eric, what's this? Hey, Eric, what's that? And he'd be like, hold on. He'd have to take his backpack off. He'd have to rummage through it. Like, no. Next trip, we're going tactical.
Got to get them all decked out, He'd be like Rambo with the just the belts of gear, you know.
Yep. So I will say this: this is my first trip using my brand new Garmin, and
how was that?
It was awesome, man. Because we're in the middle of freaking nowhere, and Anna Marie and I have not been dating that long. We've been dating over a year, but when you and I went to Texas with them, her and I had just started dating,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like settled in that I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere, and the significant others, they worry a little bit. So I was like, look, I'm going to text you from this, satellite transponder. Just don't reply because I pay for everyone. You know what I mean? Don't engage in major conversation. But she was great about it.
Just a proof of life.
Right, exactly. So like I have these preset messages. It's like infield, because you only have so many characters you can use. It's like infield, no cell service, all is well. Do not reply. So yeah, Brandon Valentine says a tactical fanny pack. I love it. But dude, using that was awesome because like no fear of we'll get stuck. Who cares? I'll message someone, and but the cool thing is it has the global compass and the altimeter. So like when we're looking for clobri, it's like, oh, we're at 5,500 feet of elevation. This is perfect, So that was pretty cool. What's up, Herr Hector?
Let me tell you something about this little pastor, right? I was trying to make my sandwich to take with me to lunch earlier this morning.
We're talking about his cat, by the way.
And this fool jumped up on the counter and started eating turkey off my damn sandwich.
That little snipe.
I mean, like didn't even pause. Just jumped up there and just grabbed a piece. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Well, at least he didn't take the whole thing.
Freaking cat, man. He just don't care.
Hey, at least he ate it and he didn't just like swipe it off the counter onto the floor, So
I was pissed. Just the nerve, man.
And yes, Anna Maria, love of my life, you were not the only one that worried. She's in the group chat.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Yeah, that's true, Vic.
All
Mr.
good,
Bigglesworth.
See you soonish.
Right?
Yeah. It's definitely something I would have around if I was out where like we were, in Texas and out there in Arizona and stuff. I can't say I'd feel much more comfortable having that around.
Sure, absolutely. And subscription plan is relatively inexpensive for what it is. It's definitely cheaper than a sat phone, I'll tell you that. Both the device and like using the data and stuff like that. Because I looked at getting a sat phone, and even if you buy a really good used one, some of the top ones that are like $3-4 grand, whatever they are, if not more, you can find them, certified pre-owned for like $700-800. But you still got to buy the phone card. You still got to buy minutes and like deal with that. At least with this, not only do I have an actual legitimate GPS that I can track my movements, I can set waypoints, I can find my way out of something. It has full topographical everything. But I can send text messages and SOS and stuff. So it's a no-brainer, So
what was I going to ask? Damn. It'll come back to me in a second.
Okay. Fair enough.
But it was asking about the trip, but I'm blanking all of a sudden.
It's okay. Happens to the best of us.
It's so frustrating.
I know. It's cool. We won't edit this out. We're talking about GPS. We're talking about, letting the significant others know that we're alive and not bitten. All that jazz.
Well, first of all, did Stone trick you into another Lost Mine-esque hike?
No, because we had this Smitty Tears barometer, and we would get out there and he'd be like, oh, by the way, guys, this is only one Smitty tier. Like, all right, cool. No problem. And then, then that night we'd be sitting around the campfire, so to speak, around the round table, and he'd be like, so hey, I'm thinking tomorrow we're gonna do this and that, and then if we want we can go here, but it's probably like a solid 2 or 3 Smitty tiers. All right, you know what, I think everyone's cool. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Bullshit measurement, because I'm not the one who quit.
Yeah, I didn't quit. I knew my limits.
Top, man.
I didn't quit. I knew my limits. I knew what I was capable of, so I stopped at an appropriate altitude.
The longest hike was only 10 miles, Dustin said.
Right, exactly.
Did you guys see? You didn't see any Gilas, did you?
No, we did not. I bought the damn hat for good luck to see a freaking Gila, but yeah,
because the ones you have at home are just like, meh.
It's not the same, man.
It's not the same.
And it's like, it's crazy because every single Crotalus that we saw on the trip I've kept, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, the Willard eye that I had in a freaking plastic shoebox is not the same. So yeah,
that's God's Willard eye you're looking at.
It is.
That's an animal that has survived up until that point, and you were able to see it. Could have been the last people it ever sees.
It could be. It could be the last humans it ever sees.
You could have walked away, and 15 minutes later, a hawk snatches it up. Who knows?
Right. You're right. Hey, Billy Hunt, what's going on, brother?
That's the kind of stuff I think about when it comes to that, and like the ornatus that Doc found in Texas. It's like, had you been 30 seconds behind or ahead of what you were, you may not have seen that. So it's like just the fact that the odds were there that you happened to be at the right place at the right time.
And hey,
it's pretty mind blowing if you think about it.
It is, and that honestly is a huge testament to Rob Stone and Dustin Grahn. And there was countless times where Rob would say, hey, we've got X, Y, and Z mapped out, and he would look at Dustin and say, hey man, what do you think? And Dustin would be truthful. He'd be like, oh, that's great. Or, you know what, man, I don't know if it's going to be good tomorrow. It's going to be really hot, or it's going to be, breezy, or whatever the case was. So it was great. It was great to have options, as well as someone who legitimately is boots on the ground all year round, So it was awesome.
What are the road cruising laws like in comparison to like herping wise?
As long as it's not protected, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you have a hunting license, you're good to go. Yeah. As long as it's not protected, And I was trying to catch back up. We were talking. So the big difference between Texas and the Sky Islands. Yeah, and Podfather said Dustin crushed it. He's the new NPR intern, the field unit. So talking about Smitty tiers, that what was that one we did with the black bear in Texas?
Lost Mine.
Okay, so Lost Mine. So Lost Mine.
Lost Mind.
Lost Mind. Yes.
Because I was like,
yeah. It was steep, man. It was real steep. But in Arizona, it's up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down, then up, and then go back the way you came. And the entire time you're still climbing an elevation, even if you're going down, you're still climbing an elevation. Yeah. So it was super incredible, man. And just like, I can't speak highly enough about the ecosystem changes, and dude, the Sky Islands, man, it's phenomenal. I get what those Highlands and Islands guys are all obsessed about, So
yeah, man. I mean, Lost Mine, that's like, I've never at any point felt like I was gonna pass out legitimately, except for that day, like towards the top.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was generally starting to get worried. Like I got close to the top, and I was like, I was more scared that I was gonna freaking black out and then fall down the side of the friggin' hill. But it was tough. But I remember it. And if we went back, I probably wouldn't do it again. but I do want to go back. You're muted.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I would do it again. And now knowing how to pace myself a little better, I think that I could have probably made it to the top, and I was just apprehensive. But in my opinion, it was more important for me to be apprehensive and not overexert myself than to try to do something because I thought I might be able to. You know what I mean?
Well, it really helps if you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. But I'd also be much better prepared than I was that day as well. I was like dressed in all black and I had no water with me and everyone else carrying like 2 gallons with them. I'm like, wait a second. Something's amiss.
I actually have a couple short videos I'm going to send to the Facebook, you and I's Facebook, so we can post it because I'm on my old crappy laptop in case it rained. And just to show like how the trails looked. And, you know, anybody who is not a fan of heights or, you know, gets weirded out by cliff faces, you know, this was definitely not the hike for you. So just bear with me a moment.
Yeah. I legitimately had no idea like what the plan was or what was happening. So I was like hanging out and was ready to go walk around because the other walks we had been on or hikes we had been on were relatively flat. So I was like, yeah, it's all good. Not making that mistake again. So if you're herping with Rob Stone, get more information as to where you're going and what the plan is for the day, because you end up dying on a mountaintop. And then I felt bad as we got to the top and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I want to go back now. Spent 2 hours climbing up, spent like 10 minutes at the top, and then went back down and saw the bears. And no herps. But there was a lot of people on that spot that day, so I really wouldn't have expected to find much of anything anyways. You guys didn't see any pyros, did you? Mike Kosicki asked. No? Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm sure Nipper was talking smack the entire time too. He's been to Israel. He's been to the Philippines.
Oh yeah, everything was
braggadocio.
No, it wasn't. Nowhere near braggadocio. It was more like it was more like this is so fascinating because it's not like this here. You know what I mean?
What herbs can we find in urban Daytona? I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find herpes in urban Daytona. Anolis lizards are everywhere. You already know this, Billy. You go to Daytona. There's anoles everywhere. Homeless people. Billy Hunt. Casey Cannon. Usually you can see him frolicking the beaches.
Frolicking. I love it.
I don't think you'd find yellow rats in the like Daytona.
No, you'd have to drive
NRBE Daytona area. Yeah.
All right, so I just sent those videos. Let me pull them up real quick with the right quickness. You there?
Yeah.
All right. So let me share this screen. Facebook. All right, there we go. So this is one of the spots we drove up to a certain point and then hiked in X amount. And let me just zoom in a little bit on this. So 8,270 feet.
It was midnight.
And there was lizards running around. So there's definitely snakes. We didn't see any snakes at that spot, but I was just shocked at, that the altitude, like it never occurred to me. Maybe it's because I live at 28 feet above sea level, it's just crazy altitude. So, and here is one of the paths that we walked on, one of the trails. And I mean, obviously I'm a bigger guy, but you probably had about 24 to 30 inches of space. And that's it.
It's a nice little shin buster on the way down there.
Oh yeah. And then like if you fall, you're screwed.
Yeah, you ain't stopping unless you hit something like a tree stops you.
Exactly. Yeah, if a tree stops you, yeah, but you're gonna break major bones, if not die. And then driving up it is steep, but driving down it is even steeper.
And those roads just wind all the way down.
Oh yeah, it's because you're going like see the winding roads in the background.
Yeah,
but like you see how close the truck is to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an amazing place, man. Sky Islands are an amazing place, and it just drops right off.
And so when you guys were finding all the rattlers, like was that earlier in the day, later in the day that you guys were actually out walking around and come across them, or was there a plan in terms of the hikes and like
there was
finding those things?
There was. Most of it was evening and dusk. We did a lot of morning stuff, but it was nowhere near as rewarding as the evening time. And it's just because it gets so hot so fast.
Yeah.
That, yeah. And then I figured I'd show this one because this is the one that everyone wants to see. That's at 5,560 feet of elevation.
Scott said Casey is smashed in the gutter somewhere, and then Bill said, "Should I be worried that people on the other side of the globe know that Casey Cannon wants to sand wrestle me?"
Oh, poor kid. He's not even here to defend himself. So.
It looks pretty sort of wet up there, too.
It was. It had just rained. So.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it had just rained, and that was our saving grace for that species, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so hot that, that rain came and bam, they came out. So, again, kudos to Dustin Grod.
And was that like in terms of the area you were in to find those? Was that sort of the crazy long hike that Brent has told us about previously? And
yes and no. So yes, it could have been a crazy long hike. No, it was not, because God blessed us. So, we had hiked that spot 2 or 3 times before and come up very empty-handed. And we hiked a lot, and it was hot. And then it drizzled, just a drizzle, and stuff comes alive. So,
I mean, I believe it, man. You think about just how dry that place is. Like, you got to take advantage of water anytime it shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was really hoping for a Gila, but that's just an excuse to go back. It's just an excuse to go back. So,
speaking of heliderms, I don't know if you heard or not, but Ryan Reed still is.
I did. Ryan Reed's still alive. God bless him.
We're gonna go visit him here soon. He's now that I'm off on weekends, we can go up there and kick it with him. So
good. Awesome. Yeah, man. I'm excited for you to get them. I really am.
I called him mostly because I'd gotten a text from my old roommate, the vet, and there was a red tegu in someone's like workshop here in town. And so I was, he was like, do they call animal control? Do they call DNR? And, Reed worked for DNR. So I called Reed. He didn't answer, but he called me back like 5 minutes later. And I was like, should they call you or DNR? And he's like, yeah, animal control is not going to really do anything about it.
What was it?
It was a red tegu.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And I told the people, like, put out a trap that you use for raccoons and stuff. They ended up letting it go back on the property for whatever reason. I don't know, but I was like, set out a trap, and I was like, DNR's likely going to do the same thing. And before anyone freaks out, red tegus are not the problem. It's the Argentine black and whites. They are officially, I think, banned in South Carolina now, but reds are not. This one, you know what I didn't realize, and it wasn't until I asked.
Are they really a problem though?
I think
are they really
in South Carolina? No.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, not all species of tegu are banned. So, but I was completely unaware that they could drop their tails. For some reason, I thought they couldn't, because this one in the picture, it was missing like half of it, and it had regrown it.
Oh, I believe it.
So I had no idea. I thought they were kind of like monitors, where it was like permanently attached to their body unless something bit it off. It didn't look very big in the picture, but the guy that owns that business, who had texted my vet buddy, he ended up, I guess, vet buddy gave him my number, and he called me, and he's like, it was big enough to where like the guys couldn't get their hand around the neck if they wanted to. But I was like, is it one of those scenarios where it was like a 5-foot lizard, but it was actually like a 2-foot lizard?
No, it was probably a
like
4-foot male with giant jowls, and he doesn't realize that those jowls are squishy and fatty, and that the neck's only that big. I
think I might. I'm gonna send it to you, because in the picture I was like, that looks like a little guy. I mean, it's not like a fresh little guy or anything like that, but it definitely didn't look like a full-grown adult, because it still had some of the darker coloring of like a younger one.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I told him on
Messenger.
I did. And I was like, if you catch it again, let me know. I'll come get it. I don't know what the hell I'd do with it, but at least, because I asked, DNR's, Reed was like, if we get it, it gets destroyed, which I figured, it's.
Yeah. That's a solid 3-foot lizard.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, look at the 2x4 in the background.
Well, that's what I was trying to go by, and I was like,
yeah,
it's hard to. Like the
that's
perspective
a solid,
of it is.
I'd say that's a solid 3, maybe 3.5-foot lizard with the tail.
But do you think that's a female?
It
doesn't have the jowls.
Yeah, but it's still small though, man. I mean, they really don't get those jowls until they get like another foot. I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
I mean, those things are difficult to sex when you have it in your hand, let alone in a photo.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I was like, if I need to come get it, I will. I'd kind of prefer not to have to do something with it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Someone lost a pet, so.
Yep. Somebody lost a pet.
That seems like that's that group of lizards in particular. You really, if your like enclosure security isn't 110%. They're gonna figure out a way to dig out or bust out, or it's you got to be on your A. That's why it's probably best that I don't have one, because I have a hard enough time keeping baby Alterna in a rack, let alone
Yeah, but there's a big difference between a 3.5-foot lizard and a baby Alterna.
I mean, you would think so. I don't know.
Well, it's not. You didn't make a mistake. You just underestimated. I mean, you underestimated their ability to get out of a drawer.
Underestimated.
But beateds, baby, beateds.
I'm still interested in them, but I don't. What do I put them in, Phil? Where do I keep them?
Get a BlackBox cage.
Where do I put that?
In the garage.
Where?
Like you planned originally, putting it behind your chair right there where you planned originally. breathing into microphone for ambiance and effect.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Look, man, plenty of people keep them in racks to breed them. Just saying.
I don't. That just, unless it's like one of the massive like freedom breeder racks, though. I feel like it's like keeping the Jansenii in a rack. It's like that's a species that's meant to roam and have the space and do their thing. You know, that's not a
T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And I can't speak like that because my one small female Gila is in a 75-gallon enclosure. So
Look at Billy trying to live vicariously through me too. He's like, do it. Maybe
yeah,
do it.
right. Yeah.
That's why you can't. So it's awesome to have the opinions of friends, especially in herpetoculture, when you're in scenarios like this. But you also have to keep in mind the same people that are telling you to do it or buy something are the same people that don't have to take care of it or find the space.
That's true. That's true. And look, if you wind up producing baby beetids, Billy Jenkins, I'll get you the hours.
How? He lives on the opposite end of the state.
We'll make arrangements.
Figure it
He's
out.
He's off weekends.
Yeah. And then Bill's like, I've got one of those big racks.
There you go. I'll tell you what, though, man.
He's also got that alligator snapper too that he keeps dropping subtle. Like, hey, yeah, I still got alligator snappers. Talk to Katie.
Yeah.
Catch me that red tegu and I'll trade you. That's actually
that's pretty good.
I don't have anywhere to put that giant rack, but
it's pretty good. I think he meant the snapping turtle.
I don't know. I thought he meant the rack. He
said rack's better than a snapping turtle.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Just go find them in the wild. Alligator snappers. I don't know that we actually get alligator snappers here where I'm at.
I think you're too far to the coast.
2 different sizes of ASTs just waiting for you.
Nice.
Oh man. I was having a conversation with Katie there, like something's
look. Trade him for the rack. Turtle comes free. Look at that.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to. I seriously want to consider probably converting the garage if possible. At least the half of it that isn't podcast stuff.
And look, man, no one says you have to have a whole garage as a reptile room, but you do one wall that's garage storage and stuff. You do another wall that's all herpetofauna, and the back wall is your podcast stuff. There you go. You're not putting the car in there anyway, It's
become just a catch-all for a lot of crap is what it is.
I get it. I know what that's like.
But she's like, what are we going to do with all the stuff in the garage? It's like we get a small little like dinker shed to put in the back, and that's where we can store everything,
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot cheaper than a shed out back for everything. Like my stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It does get pretty toasty in here though, in the warmer months. Because I guess we just don't have winter anymore. Like that I'm not worried about, but I got to figure that out too. I got to get some sort of a cooler if I want these bimaculata to go. We talked about that on the show last night, CCR, and those got to get cold. I think that's the reason I struck out with them, is they just did not get anywhere near cold enough. And it's odd considering that Diones have such a huge range. You would think those would require colder temperatures, considering they're like in Siberia and like the South North Korea border, all the way across, and then like bimaculata are like in this little section in like the middle of China.
Yeah, but that's not to say that yours are Siberian. You know what I mean?
One of them is. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, given that those are more northern, my 2 Diones, adult Diones, are more northern than the bimaculata, you would think that it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But yeah, I think you expanding the garage a little bit and doing your, maintenance shed would probably do the family pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy Jenkins is like, I'd sell you. He's the shed salesman.
I'll be right back.
All right. I think with the Diones, though, I am going to try and sort of bring those back to U.S. herpetoculture in a sense. I'm going to pursue those a little bit more. And the bimaculata, too. Even though I don't know how much of that I can do with a single pair, but at least they'll get out there some and get them in the right hands of people that are going to do more with them and watch them take off, just like the Bairds. Get me a 12 by 30 shed, Billy Jenkins. Fully insulated with electricity. And I'll give you my address. And when Christmas time comes around, you can just drop it off. And I'll think that Santa left it for me. You could say, Happy Birthday / Merry Christmas from Santa Jenkins. Yeah, and when I say dinker shed, I just mean like one of those smaller sheds that isn't anything fancy. That's like literally just storage stuff. You know, our mower, and for some reason we have like 4 bikes and they never get used. I've got some racks here that could probably get stored away pretty easily. There's all kinds of just stuff. That's the problem. Like we clean out this garage periodically and like deep clean it, get rid of a bunch of stuff, throw away a bunch of stuff, and then within like a month it's right back to how it was before. It's really frustrating. But yeah, I mean, we don't put cars in here or anything like that, so it's like what are we doing? Help, Phil.
What'd I break?
Solve my problems for me.
Sure, just send those beadeds down to me and we'll call it a day. I'll trade you a pair of beaded lizards for a pair of squams.
You're like, wait a second.
Pair of squams. I was going to say
if only.
I was going to say an 8-month-old anery subok, but I'll pay shipping both ways. But no, you want a pair of squams? I'll trade you a pair of squams. I'll trade you 4 squams for 2 beaded lizards.
I would love. First of all, we gotta talk about the new Venomous Exchange show, because I finished listening to that this morning and it was phenomenal.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I forgot to promote that this evening.
All the talk of
I know.
There's got to be an Atheris episode specifically. Nothing but, and it has to be 3 hours long.
Okay.
It's gotta happen.
I'll find the best Atheris guys.
I can't get enough of the bush vipers.
I thought you'd like it when I sent that DeSailly picture this morning.
Yeah, like damn it.
That was from 2009. That picture.
Yeah, didn't that come in with some other stuff? Like
no, yeah.
Else?
Well, no, we had a legitimate Kenya shipment that came in, and we got we got like 20 Ceratophora, like 20 DeSailly, like 10 Hispida, like 30 Parviocula that were definitely smuggled, you know. But
yeah, Ethiopia is kind of a long way from Kenya, isn't it?
No, I mean they're neighboring borders, but where the Parviocula are, they really don't breach into Kenya. Yeah. So the guy that we got them from, it was all legitimate. It all had legitimate paperwork and everything from Kenya. They said that it was a part of the mountain range that stretches into Kenya, and then they got him. So that was many moons ago.
I mean, it was a bummer to hear that DeSailly are kind of disappearing because of, quote unquote pet trade. Yeah. So Alex England, obviously he's a prime candidate for that stuff. We've had him on THP. Sure. Derek Morgan, I actually talked about at one point about doing an Atheris episode, and it because of my lack of follow up, it just hadn't happened. So
right. Right.
Definitely want that to happen because I can't get enough of that freaking genus, man. That's
man. I'll tell you what though, I'm falling in love with Telescopus. I really am. And
how are those doing?
they're great, man. I mean, I leave them alone. You know, they're super. They don't want to be messed with. They just want to be left alone in their little rock crevices, or as in actuality, toilet paper rolls. And dude, they just grow so slow. Ugh. I'm feeding them these big meals. Well,
Which is
big
that's
meals.
very
for them.
surprising to me, considering how they're sort of a not necessarily a sister taxa to boiga, but they're in that same sort of realm. And considering how quick boiga grow,
Yeah,
you would think, and that's also a species that I'd imagine if they're anything like boiga, you know, they're eating smaller but more frequently, and
right.
You know, they think that they, especially given the environment they live in, like getting size on you is probably something that needs to happen pretty quick before you become food for something else.
And see, and that's something I thought of too, is I wonder if that's not the case with most of them because they're living in rock crevices and fissures in the earth. And I'm wondering if, you know, when you have size, you can't always fit in those nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I haven't handled a lot of adult Telescopus because almost, if you know, I'll flat out say it, I think all the ones I've ever worked with were imports. And most of them were smaller than, And I think that's going to be the next goal is once Marcus and I kind of figure out the Cerastes situation, how we're going to, you know, what we're going to do in terms of what we're going to hold back, what we're going to breed, what we're going to sell, all that stuff. I really want to focus on Telescopus. I really do. And if that means I got to bring some in from Europe that are captive, then okay, cool. Rock and roll. We'll figure it out. But that, I think that's going to be the next venture, you know, and just doing my homework, man, learning as much as I can. And it just sucks because the ones I really want are the most expensive ones.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and then of course it doesn't help when, you know, Nipper's whispering your ear. He's like, I can get you, you know, you know, oh, you want Hugstrali? We can get you Hugstrali. They're you know, 600 quid. And I'm like, fuck. So
he's a horrible influence in every way.
He is, but he's a wonderful, wonderful human being. But yeah, man, those babies are fun. I want to get some African stuff, man. Some southern stuff. I want to get some semi-annulatus. I really do. And I definitely want to get, there's a Tripoli that comes out of Morocco that's black-headed with fading saddles. I've been looking at them too, but it's just tough, man. It's just tough. So
yeah, we talked a little bit about Matt's those Bothythalmus. And I would, you know, I wish we had talked about it more, but Matt is another one that I feel like we could do like 20 episodes with him and we still wouldn't cover everything we wanted to cover. Like,
sure,
got so much cool stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's all worthy of like an entire episode alone.
Of course.
I want to talk to him about coming back on either this or THP or something. I don't think Jake was around when we had him on initially. I think it was just you and I.
Yeah.
So I think that would be cool. Let Jake get some culture and get away from Nerodia for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
Introduce him to some real colubrids that don't smell like feet.
Right. And then we have that little group chat with Matt, and then he sends that one picture of that baby Rhodomelus.
Yeah, I don't know what those were, man. I was like,
dude, that's the dream killback, man. That's the dream killback. You don't even want to know, dude. Those are like a lot of money for a dying import. Like those are super scarce. So whoever took that photo, like I don't even know how they got that photo. Excuse me.
I just thought it was funny because he sent those pictures and you were like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "What?
Nah, dude.
It's like a sandboa stiletto intergrade."
No, it's not. No, dude. Come on, man. Ramphiophus.
It's like the guys that get excited about like pipe snakes. It's like, really?
Dude, hardly, man. A neon orange snake with a perfect vertebral stripe that not only isn't a pistiglyph, but has nuctal glands that it can spray out of its shoulder and scorch you in the eye with it from a turquoise neon blue nape. That's fucking cool.
Or you could get an Aurora house snake and just call it a day.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of play with the Aurora house snake. Touche, sir. Touche, Smitty. Touche.
Did you guys ever get a lot of, like, historically, when you back in your earlier working days with importers and stuff, were Diones something that you saw fairly regularly at one point?
No, and I can say that any of those colder mountain Asian species, they were always captive bred stuff. Like, I can't remember ever seeing like an adult Diones like scarred up from battle. Like, that just wasn't a thing. It was always small, captive bred stuff, whether it was farmed or captive bred in shops over there. I don't know, but yeah, very, very rarely. The only time that we ever got unique colubrids that were field collected, like totally field collected, was majority Southeast Asia and Africa.
Yeah. I don't like, in talking to Matt yesterday, it sounds like the initial sort of import, and it didn't sound like there was many that followed for Diones. They came from Bushmaster. Like, Cameron was the one who brought them in initially from China.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's something I can't really wrap my head around. Like, the whole process of keeping them and breeding them has been really, really, really straightforward. And it's like, how they haven't just blown up when they fit the bill, just like corn snakes do, in terms of like just colors and patterns and size and
but it's
care.
It's a species that's extremely niche and nobody knows about them. Then I think that's just it. Nobody knows about them. And I feel like it's kind of like, because it's kind of like fox snakes. Like, dude, nobody knows what a fox snake is, and then they see one, they're like, dude, that's awesome. How do I get them? It's like, well, only a handful of people actually breed them.
Mm-hmm. It's just odd because Diones and Bimaculata are so much more popular in Europe. Like, they're kept by a ton of people over there, but
yeah,
I mean, they are also native, but still, it's a similar scenario to like how we have corns here. Like, we have plenty of people that live in the natural range of corns, but they focus on the morphs and stuff. I don't know.
True. Yeah, who knows?
Koros rats.
Yeah, Bill says Koros rats, man. That's it. And dude, like most of the North Asian rats, like, Billy's had some awesome ones. Dude, like, they're not my cup of tea, but incredible species, especially the Japanese stuff, man. Dude,
yeah.
Billy Hunt shows me the craziest photos of Japanese mountain rats. Dude, awesome shit. Awesome.
Yeah, and that just goes back to Matt's stuff, man. Like, Matt has so many cool species that no one is doing anything with on any scale.
Yeah. He sent us that photo of the false stilettos.
When?
I must have last week in the group.
I don't know.
Yeah, he sent an albino and a black one. That's a species that you never ever see, and
that's the ones I was thinking of, because I was like, when I was talking about the sand boa stiletto intergrade.
Oh yeah.
I
can see that.
Why is Phil getting excited about?
Oh yeah, dude,
I mean, they're cool, but
those false stilettos, and like so many people hack them up in the wild because they think they're
a stiletto.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the
I remember which one you're talking about now.
Yeah.
The one that looks like a cock's eye.
Yes, very cock's eye with the blue on the nape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I definitely I want to do I just said the scientific name a minute ago and I can't remember. No, the killbacks, Rhabdophis, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid, man, because just me and tropical just doesn't mix. I really am. And I'm finally like 2021 was the punch to the jaw of, Phil, you do pretty well with arid stuff. Stop, fucking around with stuff that needs water. Yeah, stop trying to be tropical. That's it. So,
which is strange, because you would think that it would be the opposite, considering where you live.
I think it's my husbandry tactics. I think I'm not as attentive to the humidity and the tropical nature as I should be. And because I have all the arid stuff and I keep the air constantly flowing in there, you know, for whether it be for cross breeze or to drop temperature or whatever, I think it just sucks out the humidity. I mean, it's probably only like 25% humidity in there right now. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's like 100 outside. So
That's just interesting because you're in South Florida where humidity shouldn't even be a thought.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. But you also got to think, dude, my air conditioner runs 24/7, just pumping. So, and like I temp gun the vent, and like let's say I set the air conditioner to 71, right? Room temp. When I shoot the temp gun at the air vent, it's coming out like 52 because it's just pumping cold air. So, yeah.
We did have a nice discussion with the one-on-one episode of THP on Thursday about ambient versus, you know, supplemental heat, and
Yeah, I caught some of that.
How sort of my outlook on that has changed dramatically, because I used to think ambient heat was the devil, and now I'm like, this is actually kind of nice to just not have everything plugged in. You lose sort of the fire hazard aspect of things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm an ambient guy with select cage development. So like the room is 80, but inside each of the Cerastes enclosures is like 96. The entire enclosure, you know. So, well, maybe not the entire enclosure. Towards the front of it, away from the heat tape, it's probably 85, maybe.
I mean, that 80, 82 area is typically, even when I had supplemental heat on stuff, is typically where I like to keep things anyways, because when you have a smaller room like I do and you have everything running, you're gonna hover around that anyways, and maybe even be a little warmer. And I think it's a sweet spot with stuff like the rhinos and the Diones and Bimaculata that don't really need heat. Like, you want to keep them on the cooler side. It's a nice happy medium where like it's not too warm for them, but it's not so cold that everything else seems to struggle, even though in my experience, like I talked about on that episode, you know, that's chondros. I don't really worry about it getting too cold even in the winter. Like, they do fine in the, you know, lower 70s for overnight or whatever. At night they're fine. Same with all the rat snakes and stuff and boiga, you know. It's just
but
it's nice.
You do run the risk of having an issue like I did with the Pyromelana, and I have to put them in a different room because, you know, even though they were in my bedroom in a rack, it was I couldn't get it cool enough for them to be happy. So they got moved, you know.
Yeah. The biggest issue that I think is my sort of main headache is just the brumation thing, you know, and not being able to get things cool enough. And I'm gonna start scanning Craigslist for a cooler with decent size. Like, I'm really kicking myself for not taking the one my dad had to cool his Alterna, because it was perfect. It was tall, but you could set it to like 55, no problem. And with the Bimaculata, they need to get colder than that. So I don't.
Yeah.
At that point, I might as well be putting them in the freaking fridge.
I was gonna say, how big is the container you're putting them in to cool them?
When I cooled them down over the winter, I think I had both of them in like a 15 quart each.
Okay. See, that might be too big, because I have the wine cooler that I bought for the beaded, or for the Gilas, excuse me, and it was way too small. I wound up not using it. And now it just sits there. It was $100 on Amazon, and I could probably fit like 3 or 4 12 quarts in there. And that thing, it will not go above 54 degrees. It's like 47, 48 degrees. So I don't know if that's too cold, but
I don't think so. Because I mean, like the rhinos, whenever it comes time to breed those, like those need a pretty serious dip. I was really concerned with the Diones that they didn't get cold enough to go, but that obviously proved to not be the case.
Right.
So it's mostly the Bimax that I'm concerned about the most. Like everything else, I already know that if I cool them down and cut food and cut light cycles and stuff for an extended period of time, and then they get some bit of a dip, they do fine with that. Like that's more than enough. They, it's okay. It's just those bimaculata. Like I really do want to get those figured out. And that was the one species in particular with this season that I was really excited and hopeful that I'd get something from. So
well, you live and
kind
learn.
of going back to the drawing board, I guess, with this upcoming winter and seeing what needs to happen. But
yeah, it's a new season,
it's
man.
A cool little species, man. I'm really bummed that the ones that I had gotten, last year didn't do well, and I'm gonna be on the lookout for some other ones. There were some at Daytona last year, but they wanted like $250 a piece for them, I think, or something like that.
And dude, that's funny. Is I was just talking to Henry about this last night. Is that I feel like, especially with colubrids and some of the more niche stuff, $200 US is the new norm.
Yeah.
If a colubrid was a $50 snake or a $60 snake back in the day as a baby,
dude, Montrose City used to get deals for $35.
Dude, we used to get. I don't even want to tell you. If you paid more than $75 for a neonate colubrid of any kind, morph, locality, whatever it was, you were out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it was.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 Diones on Morph Market right now that have been there for a couple months, and they're $250 a pop.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a striped one that I really want, but it's
yeah.
If it's still there in a couple months, maybe who knows.
Yeah.
But
my all-time favorite was the importer would buy captive bred baby West African Gaboon Vipers for $25. We would sell them for $50 wholesale, and then retail was $75. And that was it. And like guys were like, oh, it's venomous, it's not that expensive, just make it quick, $25, whatever. Or maybe it was $100 if you had some shipping costs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now wholesale $250, $300 a baby.
Really?
Yeah. Find them.
Wow.
Nobody's got them because nobody's importing them.
Oh, that's true.
And we talk about this all the time of how it's not the exporters from the host country that are raising the price. It's the breeders or the field collectors that are. Because the dude who's sitting in the business office doing the actual export, he or she is not necessarily the person in the bush catching the animals or breeding the animals. Right. Those people, they now have the internet. They now have
the guy checking the inventory list, making sure everything's there. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And now the person who's doing the field collecting or the breeding at the farm, they have smartphones now. They have the internet. They have the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi, and they're seeing that we're selling it for $200, so they want to sell it for $200, which I can't blame them, but it's also difficult to explain the concept of everyone making a slice,
Mm-hmm.
So
well, that's just how everything works now. It's like prices go up. Guess what? The only person who's having to foot that bill is the buyer, the end buyer.
Yeah.
Like it all just gets passed on to the next guy until it reaches the end of that cycle.
Right. And then back in the day, it was very easy to have a 200% to 400% markup on an animal because there was no way to compare it or comp it or whatever. So there were some pet shops that were not the best pet shops, but there were some pet shops that would buy an animal from wholesale $50 and they would sell it for $500.
Yeah.
And that's just what it was, and obviously that's not the case now, but if everyone focused on a margin of say 20 or 30%, everyone would be happy, including the end user.
Yep. And then the bubble pops, as Billy Jenkins says.
Yep.
But going back to the Exchange Radio episode, I did find it interesting when he talked about, snake bites in their area and how mambas were actually on the lower end of typical cases seen.
Yeah.
Not that I expected them to be really high, but just being, mambas being mambas. And it made more sense when he explained that it's like because they're the first to sort of turn and run rather than sit and wait and expect you not to continue to see them like you get with puffs and stuff.
I would also like to see the number of mamba bites in relation to populace between, say, Kenya and Southern Africa.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the number of snakes is probably the same, but the number of humans is probably infinitely greater in Southern Africa than it is in East Africa in terms of interacting. You know what I mean? How many mambas are in houses in Johannesburg? You know what I mean?
Well, I think
opposed
it would
to
also depend too, because if you're talking about like rubber tree plantations and things like that, where people are actually like in these trees doing things, and then mambas are also in these trees doing things that mambas do, like then you get probably a more skewed ratio of bites from mambas to other stuff. But
perhaps. Yeah. I don't want to give it away, but it was definitely a shame what happened to that girl under the tree.
Yeah.
So I'll let people listen to that one. So
it's just, I don't know what that whole thing is. Just, it's so fascinating, man. Just the whole, like, just considering how different that whole scenario is here compared to other parts of the world where they don't have the things that, like modern medicine and regular transportation and stuff like that. I mean, it's Stone Age type stuff, man.
It is. It's very, I don't want to be insulting and say archaic, but it is. And that's a great segue to talk about our recent donation to the Schiphola Snakebite Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the final total on that raffle?
$750.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
We got I sent it in the Snakes and Stogies Facebook Messenger group. We got a little like postcard from them saying thank you, and there's a handful of guys going out to Guinea to do some work. Dr. Bush, I think, was one of them.
Nice.
Well, he definitely was one of them because I saw pictures of him on Facebook on his way there. So that was cool. I wonder if we can raise enough money at some point to where we can get like a Snakes and Stogies bench, like a little plaque on a bench.
Sure.
Somewhere in Guinea.
Well, I'm sure we could.
I'm
sure if we give them a donation and we provide the plaque, I'm sure we could get it out that way. So, and just for people who are curious, the ASF just posted a little,
awesome
little
graphic.
Advert
little
graphic.
Info
So I'll just give you a quick read. We all of us in the THN reposted it, but I'll just give a quick little thing. So it says 600,000 people are harmed by snakebite every year.
That we're aware of,
right? Less than 5% of all victims will receive efficient antivenom treatment. Now, why is that? It's because snake bites are a complex public health crisis. And it basically shows a little diagram. It says, snake bite, limited access to transportation, poorly equipped medical clinics, delay to antivenom, and bad outcomes, in terms of loss of limb, loss of life. It says every hour between bite and the antivenom treatment increases the chance of death. So it gives a little graph page here. It says that, your donation can, and it says $10 covers transportation to the clinic for a snakebite victim. You think about $10 to transport a victim to a medical clinic.
If that wasn't cigarettes, Phil.
Exactly. If that was an ambulance ride in the United States, it would be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
It's a cigar for us.
Yeah, right. $25 covers IV supplies plus one liquid vial of IV fluids to administer the intravenous antivenom. $50 covers printed training materials for local healthcare workers. So $50 allows the ASF to produce paper printed instructions and care guides to help train and educate medical staff in the field. $100, if you donate $100, it covers antivenom for one patient with a viper envenomation. So $100 covers viper envenomation. If that was a rattlesnake in the United States, it would be I would say thousands and thousands of dollars, easy.
That's what that's what Crowfab's at right now is $5,000 a vial, isn't it?
No, I think it's less. I think it's like 25 or 2,600 a vial. Mm-hmm. But you still, for like a Western Diamondback, you start with 16 vials.
Yeah, you're getting
you start with 15, 16 vials, easy. And then if you really want to be super generous, $1,000 donation will stock pediatric and critical care treatment rooms at their new facility in Guinea. So $1,000 can stock the entire clinic. So just a heads up, if people want to donate, this is not a business. This is not some, local farm or local, reptile breeder who's trying to make a buck. This is a legitimate organization helping people and helping the snakes and helping people and snakes live together. So that's why we support it.
Yeah, because it's especially after a conversation with Brent, and realizing just how far the American dollar goes with that. It's nice knowing that not to speak ill of other, organizations and stuff like that, but, sometimes you make donations and things are in such a hole that it's like, no matter how much you donated, it seems like it just gets absorbed.
Right. And it's
makes
not a
very little impact.
Right, exactly. And it's not the same as, say, we donate to an organization in the United States that does X, Y, and Z. Well, now you're paying for, let's say you give $100. In the end, almost $60, $70 of that 100 is going to pay for the staff and the people and the equipment, all that. And at the end of the day, only 20 or 30 bucks really goes into it. And I'm speaking in generalities here. I don't want to speak in definitives, Well, it's something like this, that $1, that $1 goes a really long way. And I don't want to sound preachy. I don't want to sound like we're begging for money. We're not. If you want to donate, great. If you don't, no big deal. I understand gas is like $20 a gallon now. I totally grasp that. We're all hurting in one way or another. But when we do these raffles for animals or cups or apparel or what have you, that's the way that you can really help. Because not only are you getting something fun out of it, but regardless if you win or lose, it's not that much money and you're still making a major contribution to people and snakes.
Yeah. And then, like, I know there's someone somewhere, I'm sure, is saying something about, well, we have enough problems here, and it's like, but we have modern medicine here. We have things where if you do get bit, you're gonna survive, almost 100% of the time. And it's like,
right
over there, that's not the case. Kyle talked about it in that episode that you guys just released. He's like, sometimes people get bit and they kind of just wait it out until they get to the point of no return, and then it's like they go to the hospital, but the damage is already done, or they go to a shaman or a witch doctor, whatever you want to call them, and that only makes things worse. Like, even the transportation there is so inconsistent that that's the reason we like ASF so much and like supporting them so much, is because, like I said, we know that we can do as much with what we give them, and like that it's getting, it's getting
right. Yeah.
The most use for the most bang for your buck, in a sense. I hate to put it in terms like that, but that is what we're talking about here.
That is what we're talking about. And not to sound cold or morbid, but let's say you don't want to donate because you kind of don't care about the people. Remember, you're helping the snakes too. Because every single time that they hand out one of those medical pamphlets, or they do an educational seminar for school kids, or they do, a youth group educational lecture on a Sunday morning where they're bringing snakes to the people in the towns and showing them which are good snakes to have on the farm because they're eating the rodents, and which are, snakes to be wary of or snakes to watch out for, or how to move a snake without hurting themselves or the animal. Like, that's great. That's what it's all about, is people and snakes living in harmony together. That's what we're all about, man.
And I mean, I love the raffles because, like I've said in the past, at least for myself and the people that donate, they're pretty non-invasive.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like people are willing to donate. It's not a high cost on anybody's part. Shipping is covered by Reptiles Express. So shout out to Mike and Mike Arnold. It's an easy way to really do the most good for ASF and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I need to set up the next raffle. Actually, I know I keep talking about doing it, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll get it ready for July. Yeah. Harry says something funny. He says he didn't get his red coastal, but maybe somebody kept their foot. Cheers to that.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's the truth of it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's good stuff, man.
It is good. I don't know. I really would like to get one of those guys on here at some point. I know that's probably a pretty tough thing to pencil in for them, just given the time zone.
We'll make it work.
What's happening, but definitely that's on the radar to make that happen, because I'd love to have an episode where we talk to them about the whole organization and sort of what they've got cooking up over there, and all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That'd be great.
But if you have not listened to that episode of Venom Exchange Radio, what are you doing?
Yeah, check it out. Venom Exchange Radio, episode 6, with Kyle Ray from East African Venom Supply, also known as Biocan Africa, for all you old fogies like myself. And it was a good episode, man. It was a very difficult episode. I had to do a lot of editing on that episode because of his internet connection and being the time change and everything. It was very late at night for him. And dude, the signal kept cutting out on his end. So I had to constantly snip it up and cut it up. But I think it sounds pretty all right.
I didn't even notice, honestly.
Perfect.
Like,
good.
I couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want more. When's the next one? More.
Hopefully sometime in July I'll get the next one out. So we have some recordings that we got to do with some people that are international, and you know how hard that is. So
when are you doing one with Scott?
Scott will be soon enough. We actually got Ty first. So
Nice.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
So Ty will most likely be the next episode. So that'll be a lot of fun. She's awesome.
They both are.
They both are. She's a little more awesome than him.
It's because she's not Australian, she's English.
Oh, she's at this point, man, she's Australian.
Yeah, she's like, we were talking one day because she did an article, I think the Inland Taipan article for the magazine.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the conversation had turned to where it did, but she's, I said something about you Aussies are, a bunch of nut jobs, and she's like, I'm not an Aussie, I'm a Pom. I'm like, what the hell's a Pom?
Yeah.
And then she told me, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's just right up there with the, like the whole chocolate bear thing. It's like one of those weird nicknames that. Did he explain that at all to you when you?
I don't. He doesn't have to. I just know.
I don't.
You're his little chocolate bear.
I think I finally wormed the answer out of him as far as what that was, and it was disturbing.
That's the best part. Yeah, there was definitely on this last trip between myself and Nipper, there was definitely some euphemisms that were exchanged that were unknown to the other party. So it was definitely a learning experience. Yeah. He
probably wasn't following along with all the Simpsons references though between Zoolander and Stone.
Yeah, there was a lot of Simpsons references he did not get.
They went right over his head.
Yeah. And that's something that he always brings this up, is that Americans, when referencing something, it's always pop culture or movies. It's typically movies, one-liners. While as in Europe and specifically the UK, it's a reference to history.
What a bunch of nerds.
And it's like, yeah, movies are Americana. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We do
Encino
movies.
Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Biodome. Son-in-law.
Free mahi mahi. Free mahi mahi. Middle America. Ripping the fields. Ooh, ooh.
Yo.
I'm yelling
God
Pauly
bless
Shore
Pauly
quotes.
Shore.
I'm yelling Pauly Shore quotes on my tennis courts, and it's 10:48 at night. I'm sure my neighbors are hating me right now.
Now they're gonna go watch that movie. They're like, now I gotta go watch.
Dude, I'm gonna go watch the movie.
It's on YouTube, movies and TV for free right now.
Perfect. And Mike Kosicki says, well, they do have thousands of years of it. So they do.
I just like to give Nipper shit for us sinking their T-ships, their T-boats.
Oh, he's still upset about it. Well, what's funny is we were doing this one hike in Saguaro National, and just a little mini night hike, nothing crazy. I mean, shit, for all I know, it was probably 100 yards. It was so dark. And we're hiking
like when we were in Big Bend in the middle of the day, and we walked like 50 to 100 yards, and we're like, yeah, fuck this, and turned around and went.
Exactly. Yeah, we just enough time to take that one group photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're walking, and there's like the foundation of this like bombed out brick building, and there's a plaque there from National Park Service, whatever. It says, "Here lies such and such house, burned down in such and such a date, blah 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 blah," and then And Nipper just starts like cussing insatiably and was like, "What's the matter?" He's like, "You Americans think you're so old. This house is from 1961." It was like historical such and such house, founded ancient 1961.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have like old tabby structures from like the 1800s here, and
Yeah.
a lot of like old churches and stuff that were made of tabby, which is like this concrete oyster shell mixture that was very popular when settlers and colonialism was around here.
Yeah.
And like you go and look at these little plaques, and like almost all of them burned down in a fire. And I'm like, how did they burn down in a fire? They're literally all concrete. I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know.
And they're like, yeah, there was a fire here, and it's like a brick church. It's like, what? It doesn't make sense.
Well, what's funny is when I grew up,
and they're all haunted.
Oh, of course they're all haunted.
That's why I don't fuck around with them. That's why I don't go to them, dude.
Well, when I grew up, for those of you who don't know, I grew up on a horse farm in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey. And yes, I know New Jersey, it used to be the Garden State. So, and the road that my farm was on was called Old York Road. And I mean, I was a kid, I didn't pay any mind to it, but there was this one old farmhouse on the end of the property that had a stone wall that went all the way around it. And over the years, it kind of got sunken down and grass grew out of it and people neglected it, whatever. And when my family went up selling the farm, my dad told me, he says, he's like, man, I'm gonna miss this wall. And I was like, the wall? It's like a stone wall. It's just slapped together. Like, so it looks like a 6-year-old slapped together.
Yeah, but Nipper's great grandfather was trying to get him some Yankees over that wall once upon a time.
You're marginally correct. So that wall, he told me, was built by George Washington's battalion or whatever in the whatever, I can't remember the year that he crossed the Delaware. It was snowed in, right? Mm-hmm. And they built that stone wall on the fly to help fortify their horses from the wind. And that road, Old York Road, was the road that Washington used to take his troops south to cross the Delaware River. And I was like, how come you didn't tell me that when I was a kid? He's like, I don't know. It just never came up.
I would have thought it was much cooler if you
exactly.
It was just a random wall.
So
yes,
I declare, we have some old stuff.
Yeah. And, he talks all that smack, but I think he's just mad because they don't have a 4th of July, which I've also dubbed National Metallica Day.
Oh, nice.
Because that's like 4th of July. I don't know what it is, man. You got to throw on some Metallica all day long. Like, there's nothing more America, like, fuck you, freedom than Metallica.
Yep.
So it's like fireworks, Metallica.
Anything before the Black
Energy.
Album.
Don't tread on me.
Before the Black Album. Juggling cane breaks.
I'm okay with anything Black Album and prior.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Black Album and prior. Yeah. But if I hear Enter Sandman one more time, I may wash my mouth out with a revolver.
Why?
I'm just sick of that song, man.
What?
Just sick of that song. That album is such a great album. That's the only song they play off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't can't help but get a little pumped when you hear that intro riff,
Yeah, I give you that. So
4th of July is fucking freezing, Scott said.
That's funny. Oh, Southern Hemisphere.
Put on some Metallica and all of a sudden your blood runs red, white, and blue. Doctor said I got some sort of testicular cancer. I told him to shut his commie mouth.
On that note, is there anything else you want to cover tonight?
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty good spot to end it on there.
I think it's a pretty damn good spot to end it on. So
this episode was brought to you by Puget Sound Pythons. Check them out. Master of Puppets is their best album.
Yes, I would agree. Master of Puppets is their best
man,
album.
I do like some And Justice though.
Dude, And Justice is great, but as a full complete album, Master.
Ride the Lightning is probably my favorite out of all of them.
Again, Ride Lightning is great.
I feel like Ride the Lightning never got its real due.
Dude, Battery bleeding into Master of Puppets, you know, dude, ending with Orion, like, dude, a well-rounded album.
They say the wooden parts of the houses were all made out of old growth heart pine, which was super termite proof, but otherwise light or not. The tabby was just the thing that survived the fires. Yeah, it's probably, but it's just, I find it funny that like 90% of it is tabby, and they're like, yeah, it burned down in the fire. It's like, so the roof burned. The roof, that was it.
Yeah.
The roof caught on fire. Everything else is fine. Except the people inside when it happened.
Oof.
So Puget Sound Pythons, check them out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then blackboxcages.com. Please check them out as well. Awesome folks, awesome products, cages, racks. You got a certain size you need. There's a very good chance they have something that will work and do the job flawlessly. Plenty of add-on options, LEDs, UVs, heat panels, heat bulbs, bulb cages, all kinds of stuff. Pretty much your one-stop shop for anything you could possibly need with a new PVC enclosure or rack.
All the fixins.
All the stops. They pulled them out.
Yep.
Fuel is a favorite. Get out of here, Billy Jenkins. How did I know you would pipe up?
Dude, Billy Jenkins is a Fuel fan. The Fuel the band, awesome. Fuel the song, and yes, Scott, one is fantastic, and so is Welcome Home. And I will forever call it Welcome Home because that's its true fucking name.
There we go. Trapped under ice.
Well, definitely everyone, if you have a minute in your busy podcasting schedule, to check out the Venom Exchange Radio episode 6 with myself and the great Nipper Reed with our guest Kyle Ray of EAVS in Kenya. I also took some promo clips from our Arizona trip, and I made a little mini video. It's on the Venomous Etiquette Videos YouTube page. So if you want to check that out, feel free, give it a click, give it a like, give it a watch, enjoy it. And I mean, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Check it out. We are going to be back for THP on Thursday. Derek Roddy is our guest this round.
Ooh, nice. Are you warming up your chops? You warming them up? Get those. Look at that chop right there. Look at that. Get the chop.
I couldn't possibly keep up with that man. Not my style, but he's a Minel guy, so that's nice because I also am a Minel symbols.
Is nice
myself. So
an aristocrat.
Yes. That'll be fun. Looking forward to it. And then we should be back Monday. Well, we have to talk about that.
Yeah. Do you want to? We're going to skip 4th of July.
Next Monday isn't the 4th.
No, this coming Monday is the 27th.
Is the following Monday the 4th?
Yeah. So next show is the 27th, and then the show after that's the 4th. So I will not
have to figure that out.
I was going to say I will not be here for the 4th.
It's National Metallica Day.
It is. I will be slightly verschnicket, trying not to blow myself up.
Nice.
Yes.
Please,
America.
Go ahead and say it now. Be safe. Keep all your fingers and toes and other dangling participles.
Yeah. My favorite thing on 4th of July, let someone else light them.
Or just use a really long lighter.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all. Have a good evening. If you're listening to this after the fact, good day, good morning, all that good stuff. We'll see you later.
Bye.